This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital. It is Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. Retired High Court Judge Justice David Harris will chair the investigative team to probe the understatement of revenue for the financial year 2023 and related matters for T&T's public accounts. The team will include former Auditor General at the Auditor Director at the Auditor General's Department, David Benjamin, and several specialists in information technology. Finance Minister Colin Imber, speaking at a virtual news briefing held yesterday, Tuesday, said Cabinet approved the composition of the team, which he recommended. A 2-month timeline has been given for the team to report to the Minister of Finance. Meanwhile, the terms of reference for the investigation to probe the understatement of revenues for financial year 2023 includes the circumstances led to the understatement of revenue in the public accounts and what should be done to avoid a recurrence of the same, the efficacy of the new electronic check clearing system introduced by the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago in February of 2023. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley traveled to London yesterday, Tuesday, en route to Ghana, where he will be the special guest of honor at the celebration of His Royal Majesty Tumfu Osei Tutu II, the Asana Hente 25th of Ascension to the Golden Stool and Reign of the King of Asante. Mrs. Sharon Clark Rowley accompanied the Prime Minister. In 2023, the Asana Hente and his delegation visited Trinidad and Tobago to commemorate the country's Emancipation Day celebrations. While in Ghana, Prime Minister Rowley will also meet with the President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo. Dr. Rowley said will lead the delegation, which will include Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Dr. Amy Brown. Finance Minister Colin Imber will act as Prime Minister in Dr. Rowley's absence and until his return. Director of Public Prosecution Roger Gaspard SC has responded to comments in a release from the judiciary saying if he had used the electronic version of the committal bundle sent by his office to the Port of Spain District Court to file an indictment in the case of the murder of Senior Counsel Dana Sitahal in 2014, it would have resulted in the case being quashed. In a press statement issued yesterday, Tuesday, Gaspard said the committal bundle of the preliminary inquiry included the originals of the complaint, the depositions of statements of the witnesses, the documentary exhibits, evidence on behalf of the accused, and warrants of commitment for trial and recognizances of witnesses. He said Section 25(1) and 2 of the Indictable Offences Preliminary Inquiry Act, IOPA, states the committal bundle was to be sent to him without delay at the end of the preliminary inquiry. It was also his duty to keep the committal bundle until an indictment is filed in the High Court and transmitted to the Register of the Supreme Court. Gaspar added the consequences of not filing a valid indictment is it would become liable to be quashed and no trial would occur. He also stated the DPP was required to consider the evidence in the bundle before determining the offences for which an indictment could be filed. Parents of babies who died at the NICU unit at the Port of Spain General Hospital want the NWRH to accept liability in the matter before any settlement agreement is to be made. It said through the attorneys it's not going to be the acceptance of so-called hush money by the parents or any of the newborn babies who died at the neonatal intensive care unit at the hospital in February because of a bacterial outbreak. While parents are willing to settle the matter out of court, they will not be doing so unless the Northwest Regional Health Authority accepts liability for the deaths of the babies. Attorney Suan Dearsaran and the Freedom Law Chambers, headed by Ananam Logan SCS, they issued another legal letter to attorneys who have been retained by the state. Auditor General Jaiwanti Ramdas has filed a lawsuit surrounding the constitutional impasse involving her report of the public accounts of Trinidad and Tobago for the financial year 2023. Claim was filed in the High Court on May 7th. It asks the court for an urgent hearing. Ramdas is seeking several declarations, including her right to protection of the law and her right not to be deprived of such procedural provisions as necessary. She claims she's entitled to retain and instruct counsel of her choice to advise and or represent the Office of the Auditor General in any matter where there's a dispute with the government. The lawsuit contends she has reasonable grounds to believe the Attorney General cannot render independent legal advice and representation. However, the lawsuit says the Attorney General is required to bear the reasonable costs of her attorneys. A former energy minister has cautioned that a steady decline in Trinidad and Tobago's foreign reserves is a situation that must be closely monitored. The figure now stands in the vicinity of $5.4 billion. An assessment coming from Kevin Ramnarine, who suggested the need for certain adjustment to be made moving forward. He made the remarks yesterday on Hard Talk right here on Power 102 Digital. In news of the region, Jamaica is among 3 Caribbean territories to receive certification from the World Health Organization, WHO, for eliminating mother-to-child transmission of HIV and syphilis. The country, which embarked on this mission through its prevention of mother-to-child transmission program more than 2 decades ago, joins Belize and St. Vincent and the Grenadines as the latest territories to achieve this milestone. And finally, Stormy Daniels tells the New York court about a hush money payment at the center of Donald Trump's first criminal trial was paid to her before the 2016 election. The adult film star also described an alleged sexual encounter with Donald Trump at a golf tournament, which he denied happened. Tensions were high in the courtroom when Judge Merkin asked for the prosecution to cut out explicit questions. And that's news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. brought to you with the compliments of Genesco Appliances Limited nationwide. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
And welcome to the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. Good morning to all those online, on our mobile app or website, those watching us on television. Flow, if you got Flow, it's channel 111. If you got Flow HD, it's channel 109. Digicel, channel 20. Amplia, channel 117. Good morning to you. Of course, full casting this morning. We just heard from Super Paul, Senator Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen. We got Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Shane and Ruben in the mix. My name is Steve Khan. It's a warm morning already. 28 degrees. 28 on both islands. It's hot, and dust in your face for sure. Traffic-wise, usual stuff by Chase Village, Charlieville, towards the interchange volume, Trim City, same thing, volume. Just getting into Port of Spain is where you're going to pick up your traffic this morning. All right. So good morning to you, gentlemen. What's happening?
Hi, morning, Paul, morning, Steve, morning, Richard, morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe. It's a dusty morning.
It's horrible this morning.
Sahara dust is disastrous these days.
Yeah. Morning, Paul.
Good morning, everyone. This was dusty. I went to work last and I saw, but why is it overcast? It wasn't overcast, it was haze.
It's dust.
Good morning, everyone. It's actually dust. So it's very odd looking, but
horrible.
So by the end of this week. So
well, let's
good morning,
see how
everyone.
that goes. Morning to you. Let's say good morning, good out to those on Facebook and YouTube, like Oliver Man Warren, Garcillian Valencia, Boy Badesi out in Debe. That has not dropped some doubles for me as yet. Maria Celia, Alistair Hart, Rita Budu Jennings, Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida, as Sasha in London, Wendy and James, John Cato, Anthony Tinto out in Canada, Slick Money Grip, Carol Guevara, Miss Ingrid. Good morning to you out in Tucson, Arizona. And happy Nurses Week to you guys over there. The wonderful work that you all do. Ian Lee, where are you at this morning, Ian Lee? Hector. There's a new one here. M. Lovela. Okay. Good morning. Brenda Isaac, Gloria Gray, CJ New York, Michael Robinson in Yokohama, Japan, Richard Duku, Mo Gaines, Shunku, Trini B, Mrs. R. Yopudi, David Wares, my friend, long time watching us on Flow. So good morning to David. And Ian is in London. On WhatsApp at 3181021. Good morning to you, Sankofa. Good morning to Dan Raj. Let's see, GNC Auto Security. Good morning to you as well. And of course, a special morning again going out to Val. Morning to you, Val. That's on WhatsApp. Hope all is well with you guys. I'd done it.
Are you having internet issues, Steve?
No, not that I know of.
Paul, are you missing him every now and then?
Yes, he's breaking up sometimes.
Yeah. I thought it was me, but when I looked, I have full bars here. So every now and then you're going, Steve.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all wonderful internet providers, I tell you. But we'll pay more.
I have a partner with Amplia. Well, for the last more than 24 hours, he's been without service.
Really? What area?
The Maraval area.
Okay.
It's also Mental Health Awareness Month, so you'll take care of your mental health.
You know, I'm happy you started that way, Paul. Well, I'm not happy you started that way, but it reminds still shooting mentally deranged people. We are still killing mentally deranged people who are what? The story was the man was pelting bricks, okay? And he is now dead.
You got to give us some context. I didn't see the story.
Yeah.
But it came on the news last night. I'm
I
sure
watched it this morning.
I'm sure it's in the newspapers. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. Apparently, from what I understand, yeah, it started off, his father said that in the morning he got up and, he's just quarreling and swearing.
What, the 19-year-old you're talking about?
No.
No,
there's another gentleman. No, he's not 19. That's a different story. And then he went and he rode and he was throwing bricks at vehicles. It's in Grandy, right?
Let me read out.
Hold on. Yeah. Somewhere. Tell me where it is. Who
threw bricks at passing vehicles and attacked police officers with a cutlass was shot and killed in Barrackpore yesterday. Investigators said Jeremy Rambaran, age 33, of New Colonial Road, died in the police vehicle while being taken for medical attention at the Princestown Health Facility. Around 12:18 p.m., police officers were on inquiries when they saw Rambaran throwing red bricks at the bricks struck at least 4 vehicles before they stopped and tried to speak with him. However, officers said he lunged at one of them with a cutlass. Now, for a man who having bricks in his hand, just suddenly have a cutlass in his hand, I query that, but I wasn't there. This led to an officer opening fire on Rambaran, hitting him several times.
You see, this is where they needed tasers.
Well, if you had a cutlass, you wouldn't get it close enough to taser him.
No, I don't know. But what happens? So Wendell, he throws a brick at your car. Who now pays for that?
Well, I saw a guy last night on the news querying because no, the man is dead. The person, he said he didn't have windshield coverage, and he now needs a windscreen. What is he supposed to do? Well,
out of pocket, I guess.
Well, I
insurance
think
will entertain you.
In a conversation where a person has died, the windscreen is the least of our worries.
Yeah. When Deanne James is saying police right, how could? Oh, jeez, listen, I'm not raising this issue again because you know why? We have had several incidents like this before where people who are clearly mentally ill because they don't have the requisite equipment, weapons to deal with someone who is clearly mentally deranged and mind you, that person is a threat, yes, but it can't be that they have to be killed because they're mentally ill. It can't be. I'm sorry. Why are we so easy to kill people? Why are we so easy to condone killing of people?
In addition, Paul, I sent you that video last night where the mother was strangling her child in Independence Square, Port of Spain. And of course, the police intervened. I don't know what happened after that. But I'm saying, what craziness is this? I sent it to you so you can send it to your peeps.
I saw that.
Well, no, the police were there, so I don't need to send it to the peeps.
Yeah.
But that's speaking of which, I'd like to take time to congratulate Superintendent Claire Guy Allen,
Mhm.
who I'm hoping is our guest on Monday,
Mhm.
who is the head of the police victim and wellness unit,
Mhm.
who within 24 hours of me sending the video of the child choking the mother on the ground or restraining the
Mhm.
mother on the ground,
Mhm.
messaged me back yesterday to say that they had found the family and they're working on the situation.
Oh, great news.
So I want to thank her for responding, and immediately when I sent the video, and
Mhm.
within 24 hours actually messaging me back to tell me that they had found the family and that they
And yeah.
and
Well
that
done,
they were
Paul. Well
resolving
done,
situations. So I'm
TDPS.
trying to get on Monday to talk about those types of situations and what should happen. You know,
Mhm.
when people see children being abused or elderly people being abused, and what the right step is in those situations.
You know what I want to ask? Would we have been okay this morning if the police came where that woman and intervened where that woman was obviously abusing a child on Independence? We have been okay if the police intervened where that boy was on top of his mother and who clearly has mental issues. Would we have been okay if police had come and shot him? Would we have been okay with that? Come on, people, man.
Well, they're two different situations, though.
Well, they are all, and they probably all involve people who have mental issues.
But the difference in those cases is, in the case from what you have told me, because I've not seen the video, is the man had a weapon. And I'm not condoning in any way the police, because I didn't see the video and I didn't see how the police shot the man. But I also am of the view that maybe you could, if you're shooting, shoot legs or what
Yeah,
may be
demobilize the
some
individual.
non-vital area. But and you said multiple shots, right?
Yes.
I don't know that you might need multiple shots. I don't know, but I don't know what the circumstance was, because so I can't really comment. But it's a different situation with the
A
child
video of
restraining
that
the parent
incident.
and the parent restraint choking the boy. Where in that case, from what you all have described, the man had a dangerous weapon and seemed to have been flailing it around indiscriminately. So, but I'm also of the view that some other approach can and should be taken. When you said earlier, Steve, that the taser could have been used, it occurred to me that some tasers are able to be shot off from a distance.
Right. Yes.
So that potentially could be an option. The tasers that could, the electric, the what you call it, the spring-like thing
Yeah,
that
the
comes out of
diodes.
it,
It
that you can
fires
go
off the
from 6
diodes.
feet and incapacitate the person.
Yeah.
Maybe a better option than shooting the person and they dying, because you will, on several occasions in the future again, come across people who have mental issues and who are not easy to be restrained, and in some cases may need to be subdued by some kind of force. So
Yeah. Karen is even saying the pepper spray, they immobilize.
but pepper spray also, you gotta get in close enough.
You gotta get in close enough for that, yeah.
But the taser, as you said, which shoots off the two electrodes, may be an option. But and by multiple shots. But as I said, I wasn't there. I didn't see the video, so I don't know. But it's really unfortunate, because this is not the first, second, or third time we've heard the police having to shoot a person with mental issues, and the person has died. So
yeah, and I'm sure, yeah, it wouldn't be the last. But as when we're on the subject of TDPS, let me say kudos to the TDPS and the two officers that I saw this morning. A young lady got a flat on the B-thumb, and they were actually changing the tire for her. So good morning to those two officers on the B-thumb that helped that lady just before NP. So good morning. Kudos on that. Some good news regarding TDPS.
People this morning, you will never have a problem until it happens to a relative of yours, because we all have relatives, I'm sure, who give some kind of problems, who might have some kind of mental issues. You will never have a problem with it until it happens to that relative or that friend or that child. Trust me.
So the Attorney General and the Auditor General fighting, and now the DPP and the Chief Justice fighting.
You know, I saw that and I said, what is wrong with these office holders What is wrong with them all of a sudden?
Whoa.
These high office holders, what is wrong with them all of a sudden? They're bored. They want.
No, they're not bored, Wendell. It
PNM
is
government ain't causing
always,
enough
when things
bacchanal.
fall apart,
Government itself.
a blame game. And I do not understand why, in any case, you all have to, even with it going public now, at some point, you all have to sit down in a room and work it out. So why can't you do that before it turns into a public imbroglio?
You know what it'll get down to, Paul? Which room? My office or...
No, it will get down to worse than that. Wendell, you are the one with the internet problems, eh?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out, Wendell.
Yeah, he is clearly the one with the internet problems, because look how he might freeze there. Look at that frozen picture he have there.
Oh God, I didn't want to look
I'm
at
gonna
it.
take a picture and send
Oh
him.
God.
If you see that, you are the one with the internet problems, sir. You see, there he goes.
Take a next picture.
In Wendell, you are the one with the internet problems.
Okay, I don't know what's going on.
You know what to do, but you don't want to do it.
When you get a chance
No,
to restart, Wendell.
Not restart. He's just he's set for months. His internet sucks. So,
but you know what? He's sitting down there doing nothing about it.
Well, he doesn't have an option. The options
it's
are
a waste of time changing it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a waste. I just have to forget it and maybe I had to develop my own internet.
But you've changed other things and your life has worked out.
My internet is doing what it wants this morning.
The problem with you is that you endure these ordeals for so long before you change them, and then you get frustrated.
I do,
You take it, then
you're such a loyal soul. When you make a commitment, you stay the course.
I'm a sucker for punishment.
Karen says, go to Starlink. Order the Starlink.
Well,
anyway, so the DPP is fired back and said if he had sent the committal bundle, we're learning so much about law and processor, let me tell you, the case would have been quashed. So you trying to tell me, and that's the thing in Trinidad, let's talk about independent offices, and we do have them for a reason. There's a separation of church and state, and there are several independent offices. But the independence of the office doesn't mean that the primary people in the offices are not supposed to talk.
It's about personalities at the end of the day.
It don't mean you're not supposed to sit down and say, listen to me, Chief Justice, can we have a meeting, please, Honorable? No problem. This case is coming up. It is not a sign of collusion. There is a very high-profile case involving one of our more notable citizens that has been on the docket for almost 10 years. Before they reach the 10-year mark and the papers check it off and put it on the front page and say nothing happened, the family had to get upset. Let's talk to see if we can move it forward at least an inch. So we'll have a decent reporter for the public in a case like that. Because as we said on Monday, if this happening to a Dana Sitahal type case, which is of the highest public notoriety, what happens to Mr. Ordinary John Trinidad and Tobago in the criminal arena? You understand?
Yes.
It means that is why people stay on remand for 18, 20 years. Because this one in this office, he sent the file gone, the file missing, witness dead, police retire. You know, really? How come huge countries like the US and the UK with massive populations could get it right?
So when you read this story, it's saying DPP Roger Gaspard, senior counsel, has responded in what appeared to be the latest tit-for-tat between his office and the judiciary in the Dana Sitahal murder. Yesterday in a press release, Gaspard admitted to receiving the necessary documents to further the trial, but not in the format he required in keeping with the Indictable Offences Preliminary Act. He said on the 10th anniversary of senior counsel Dana Sitahal's death, the DPP lamented that the judiciary had not sent the completed committal proceedings to his office. The judiciary responded by saying that they did send the 8,100-page document electronically. So this is about how it's sent. Come on, man.
As I said before, good morning, Mr. Ragoobarsingh.
Hi, good morning, guys. Good morning to our listeners and
You're
viewers,
trying
wherever
to
you
tell
are.
me that who is the master of the court, Richard Nutso, is Mrs. Allen?
Court
Is she still there?
administrator.
Court
Court
administrator.
administrator, sorry.
But I'm not so sure I'm not so sure if she's still there.
But she was there months ago. Well, whoever is in that role. And the DPP cannot convene a meeting and say, listen, this is what I have, this is what you have, this is what the established legal procedure is. How can we make sure this happens? No, but that is against the law. That is contravening independence of officers.
Yeah, but you know what's the bigger question, Paul? You can't tell me they don't know what the procedure is, either on the judiciary side or on the DPP side. That it had to reach this stage now for somebody to say, well, you didn't send it the correct way. I need it digitally, electronically. I don't need all these pages. You know?
Well, I mean, going to what you just suggested, Paul, is that the judiciary and the DPP can have a meeting.
Can have a meeting and say, listen, it's voluminous.
Address whatever concerns.
How can we
that you
move
have.
this forward, whether it's hard copy or soft copy or both, in the interest of serving justice here? You trying to tell me grown people can't sit down on a meeting and say, how can we resolve this? It had to end up in the public with you send me an email now, the judiciary. You know, the papers put an article after Ms. Sitahal's family expressed their frustration and disappointment after 10 years. The judiciary sent a missive, which is public. The DPP respond. Now the judiciary go respond again. That is how we resolve things in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, kind of.
General sent a letter to the Auditor General. She sent back a missive through her lawyers. The hospital, the families, the children who did the NICO sent to Freedom, from Freedom to NWRH. Them send back. That's how we going.
Yes. Apparently. You want the answer? Yes. That's how we're going.
We had a case of missing files the other day with something. Now this is a case of files being sent the wrong way. So the DPP is saying he wants those documents in hard copy in compliance with the IOPEA. Sections 25 to 27 of the IOPEA do not contemplate the DPP filing a valid indictment on the basis of copies, whether electronic or otherwise. You want to tell me these office holders, the people who working in these places,
sit down and say, boy, I think we breaking the face and electronically, you know. Send
Well,
hard copy in a big truck now.
In terms of institutions meeting, yes, institutions can call meetings. I mean, the institution that I am with sometimes, we call meetings. And we have interfaces sometimes with the judiciary in terms of sorting out what our concerns are. And so, obviously, the DPP can have a meeting
Human
with the
beings have to
judiciary
talk.
concerning, well, look, we have certain concerns. Because when the judiciary went pretty much very digital, it created, especially digital in their workflows, which is the subject of really what is happening today. When they went digital and virtual in their workflows, it created some degree of upheaval for stakeholders to now maneuver and adapt to the new normal, so to speak, that was propelled by COVID. And people adapted, and people...
And in doing that, Mr. Ragoobarsingh, it's usually to come up because it's a transition, and the office holders need to sit down and say, well, the law specifically says this. It didn't contemplate digital. How can we manage this in the legal realm?
Yeah.
Is that so hard for grown, intelligent, educated people to do?
No, you had those kind of hiccups. You had because a lot of the times, hard copy versus soft copy.
I like this comment. This is a great comment.
A lot of the times, hard copies versus electronic is raised out of external issues. And I'll just give you an example.
you may have certain accounting protocols in how you pay certain things with state funds. Accounting protocols which emanate from the Controller of Accounts and etc. sometimes have to be, how should I put it? You have to transition how you're going to accomplish A, B, and C in a virtual sphere.
While remaining legal realm.
While remaining legal.
While remaining legal. For something that's very specific about the words used in the law.
It sometimes causes certain things that need discussions. How do you accomplish it? And sometimes the Controller of Accounts is brought into the discussion because they have not moved ahead, as the accounting protocols have not been modernized. I know they're trying to do it as quickly as the rest of the public service trying to transition into that whole virtual and electronic sphere.
Paul, highlight Trini Bree comment too for me. That comment from Trini Bree. Highlight that comment because I want to read something here. This is from the DPP also, right? He said, the documents comprising more than 8,100 pages could surely have been more easily secured in a few bankers' boxes and transmitted to this office in the 3 years and 5 months that it has taken to provide an electronic copy. Gaspard said he will need to have the original committal bundles to fulfill statutory duties under the IOPA and to file a valid indictment since experience.
Wendell, pause. Did he indicate that he requested that?
Well, hold on. Let me finish reading the part.
What was the excuse?
And to file a valid indictment since expediency is not the source of law. The DPP said he has been trying since January 5th to have the original document sent to his office. He said he's now being told by the judiciary the earliest the bundle can be delivered is May 20th this year.
So he asked for it. So he
asked for it after 3 years and 5 months, though. That is the key in it. The paragraph before said surely it could have been bundled, put into boxes, and sent to him 3 years and 5 months ago.
Meanwhile, a family languishing without justice and a nation. God. So, as I said before, think of if this can happen with high-profile, the late Dana Sita Hall. What happens to the ordinary man on the street and their matters?
This is clearly a personality issue.
So does everything have to descend in this country to a personality issue?
This one clearly is.
Is it a percent contest? Mine bigger than yours? I have more rank than you?
Yeah, I fraughten more than you. It's about the fraughten.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You start me and then you want to abandon me?
But isn't that normal with people and you? Start you and abandon you? Isn't that a usual protocol that's been established? The Wendell Stephen protocol? Retired High Court Judge.
Sorry, guys, I was frozen for a second there, so I couldn't.
Yes, we know you were confused.
Yeah, we know you were frozen.
Will chair the investigative team to probe the understatement of revenue for the financial year of the public accounts 2023 for Trinidad and Tobago and related matters. The team will include audit director or former audit director at the Auditor General's Department, David Benjamin, and several specialists in information technology. This team has been given a 2-month timeline to report to Minister Colin Imber, who is acting Prime Minister today, in the absence of Dr. Rowley, who left yesterday for Ghana with his wonderful wife, Sharon Clark Rowley. The terms of reference includes to investigate the circumstances that led to the understatement. Of course, that's in the Treasury Division. And the efficacy of the new electronic check clearing system. So let me ask a question. You'll do this question because of what's at stake here, right? This is the country's, you're moving to a new system. You're moving to a digital system, I gather, and the Treasury Department division is charged with the responsibility, among other things, as they say inter alia, in preparing the bundle, the documents, again, a bundle of documents, to send to the Auditor General's office within specific timelines so that the Auditor General can audit the country's finances for that fiscal, in this case, 2023. I am presuming, and I may be stupidly presuming so, that because you're moving to a new system, and it's an electronic system, and electronic systems always were supposed to have a beta period, beta being test period, not fully online, not green light, all issues resolved, that you may choose, because I've seen it done in other jurisdictions, to run parallel the new system and the old system, because the old system seems to have been working well, and you institute the new system in beta parallel to that, and look at the end of the process to see if they have the same 1 + 1 = 2. If one is different, one of them went wrong. Go back to the drawing board. No, not us. We institute the new system and end up with a well, depending on who you believe, a 3-point-something billion discrepancy that is now the subject of a national discourse.
And again, that is another personality issue. We had someone in the office of the Auditor General for years. You barely heard anything because that lady is as quiet as you can get.
That is unfair.
What?
A major systems change did not take place under that former person.
Okay. I'm talking about personality issues and how it comes out into the public. Because, and if I have to believe Minister Colin Burt, that the same day you sending in the report, you're also asking about missing things, that must raise a red flag. So then send that, ask about the missing things before you
there are several other things, Wendell. If you're sending a 3-point-something billion discrepancy update, and you have an acknowledged $700 million, almost $1 billion, that have no supporting documents, there are several red flags that have been raised.
Right.
It's not a personality thing alone.
So the Auditor General asked for that. But at the same time, the same date of the letter, because this is what Minister Imbert point, the same date of that letter querying those things, you send your report. How is that helpful? That come like me taking me. Let me don't use that example.
You are very, very easily minimizing a lot of material information in that situation.
No, I'm not.
And being very reductive in terms of turning it to a personality. Yes, there's a personality issue involved. I agreed with that. But that's not the only thing that's come up here. There are several significant material issues. That is why
Paul,
the Minister of Finance has put together a team to investigate the whole thing.
Paul, my issue with personality is not on one side, because I've said it very clearly. Minister is not the easiest person to deal with.
Factor involved?
Huh?
Did I not just agree to there's a personality factor involved?
No, but you see, I'm thinking, and I may be wrong, and forgive me if I'm wrong, that you feel I'm targeting the office of the
No, I don't. We're talking about something we spoke about on many occasions with personality. Okay. No, I don't. But even if we consider both parties maybe having personality contributory factors, there is still a significant number of questions. There's still a significant number of questions to be asked here about why there was a 3-point-something billion discrepancy, given the fact of, and if you're reading all this stuff, this Auditor General took over midstream in the process of preparing the audit, given her timeline of being appointed to this situation, and add to that the complexity of changing to a new system. And I don't know if they ran a beta test or a parallel system to see the both. There's so many things that seem to have gone wrong here.
Never a dull day, but and we could do without this stress. We don't have so much other stress to deal with. And I'm talking about real stress, like mass killings, and now hearing from a senior police officer that the killings in Coker, it was about a turf war. Powder magazine as a turf.
And they always, generally these days.
Oh gosh. It's just so easy now to dismiss these things as gang warfare, turf war. while innocent people being in some cases being
Yeah,
done.
it kind of gives it a veneer of.
Yeah.
I don't
Another
want to say.
document.
I don't want to
in
say. I
the-
don't want to say a veneer of dismissiveness, because that would be wrong. It's not that, but it's of a veneer of explaining it in a context that the rest of the society is supposed to, look at it through that lens.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure, because yesterday too on news, you had a murder of 2 people in a mini mart, I think in Pinal. Is it in
Yes.
Pinal?
Yes, that's a
Pinal was
crazy
in,
story
No.
too.
yeah. And the husband and wife, common law, both executed inside their mini mart.
Executed.
And it's
That's the
like,
correct term. Executed.
and it's like,
It's like a normal day in Trinidad and Tobago.
what?
Didn't you realize something? There was no major uproar on social media. Oh, 2 people get shot, a couple. Okay, all right. And we're eating for lunch.
No, that's crazy.
You
That
realize
is
how
that is
accustomed
not
we've
normal. That
become
is
to this
not
situation.
normal.
A couple got shot at 10 p.m. in their mini mart, and the country went on without a blink.
And you're
Yeah.
right. You are right, Paul. And I'm like, no, why is this coming across as if it's a normal thing? It's not normal.
It's not supposed to be normal.
It's crazy. And there should be, every murder should be an urgent issue to resolve and solve, and what the hell went on in that area, and hold those perpetrators. People can't just feel they could do that and get away with it. No.
So a man allegedly went in an area, shoot up 11 people, kill 4, hightail it to the airport, right? Allegedly, right? Because he want the turf down there?
Not allegedly, hightailed it to the airport.
Right. Because he wants the turf down there? Well, allegedly because he wants the turf down there? I have to believe that?
Well, first of all, I don't know that he's been charged. Secondly, I don't know that if he's the person involved, because he's been arrested. I haven't seen any charges have been laid yet. Very often, let me put a full stop and moving on. Very often, people who are found to be involved in those sorts of heinous acts may be somebody hired by somebody else who may be the originator of the grouse.
Let me tell you something. I represented a part of Cookreed for 14 years. Okay? I know a lot. I've heard a lot. And I'm out of it now, but I've been hearing so much. And you would not like to hear what I've been hearing. I give up. I feel like giving up. And people are asking me, well, we need to talk to this one. I say, no. No. Live your life as happy as you could and as peaceful as you could, and wait for your day to come.
All right.
I have no question in mind this morning.
All right. Well, let's get into you have no question. Okay. Let's get into headlines of our 3 daily, shall we?
Should you have papers or should I?
Of course I do, Paul. Don't I usually?
No.
You know, the statement that you've made has the answer in it. Usually. Don't you usually? Usually is not an absolute term, sir.
So the Daily Express for this morning, and of course, just in case you didn't know the date, it's Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. The main headline in the Daily Express, DPP hits back. That's the headline. Gaspard responds to judiciary, send original Dana murder case documents, not digital copies. The consequence of not filing a valid indictment is that it would become liable to be quashed and no trial could occur. And that's a quotation that they have on the front page of the Daily Express. Retired judge leads Auditor General Finance Ministry probe, and the main picture is by the big bird treat for students Pilot Pat Riley of the Delaware National Guard places a pilot's aviation jacket on Santino Kisoon, a student of Lochmaven RC Primary School, while excited school children check out a Black Hawk helicopter. So that's the main picture.
Yeah. Of course, they will be our guests next hour.
Right. On the back page of the Daily Express this morning, did Paul put up something? He did. On the back page of the Daily Express this morning.
I have to invoice him for these ideas.
Yeah. Showdown set. Soca Warriors to clash with arch rivals Jamaica in League A group play in Nations League. And that's the main headline on the back page of the Daily Express. Moving on to the Newsday today. Front page of the Newsday. DPP slams judiciary over Dana's files. Electronic copies cannot be used. That's the headline. The main subheadline, NWRHA willing to settle with baby's parents.
Very good news.
And the main picture is also the Black Hawk. Black Hawk down. An officer of the Delaware National Guard assists U.S. Ambassador Candace Bond out of a Black Hawk helicopter during a visit to Cedrus on Tuesday. So that's the main picture. On the back page of the Newsday, Chatu's appeal hearing adjourned. TTCB given May 27 deadline to file submissions, and TT drawn with Jamaica, Nicaragua for Nations League. On to the Guardian for today, and of course, this is the final daily for today in the Republic of TNT.
If you are hearing me, I'm not hearing anything on the system.
I'm hearing you.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
So the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today, on the front page, Harris leads probe. Finance Ministry ordered to the general fiasco. Imber names team of investigators, retired judge, former audit director included, given 2 months to deliver report. That's the headline on the Guardian. Subheadlines: DPP wants 8,100 page hard copy to start Sita's trial. Turf war blamed for Concrete mass shooting. U.S. Army lands in Cedrus. So there's also a picture of the Black Hawk and the children. Also a picture on the front page of the TNT Guardian this morning. And on the back page of the TNT Guardian, Chai2 challenges TTCB special meeting. That's it for our 3 dailies this morning.
All right, well, let's get the results of our morning poll that we asked you yesterday. Do you think anyone will be brought to justice in the Harp Place and Powder Magazine multiple murders? That was our poll yesterday. Results after this.
Shop mega mattress deal for mom at Furniture Plus. Get queen mattresses starting from just $699 plus up to 25% discount on bedding accessories. Hurry in today for these mega deals. Check the press and social media for details.
Know and reduce your risk. Do you know the hazards around your home, your work, or where you traverse regularly? Are you prone to impacts caused by hazards like flooding, landslides, high winds, rough seas, or bushfires? All of these can affect your household, business, or place of worship during a disaster. Remember, it's not just your home. You must also consider the hazards where you work or regularly travel. For example, your home may be at risk of a flood, but while driving to work, you might be at risk of a landslide. Do you know everyone, as in all of Trinidad and Tobago, is at risk of earthquakes, tsunamis, or even an explosion? Plan ahead in order to reduce your risk before, during, and after a crisis, an emergency, or when disaster strikes. Follow us on the ODPM's social media pages to learn more on how you can be prepared,
Trinidad
be secure,
and Tobago. Get ready as we move towards a healthy lifestyle change. The Ministry of Health will be conducting a national health survey called the STEP Survey 2024 to gather information from households across Trinidad and Tobago on lifestyle practices that impact your health. Staff conducting the interview will visit your home with a Ministry of Health ID and clothing with ministry branding. All information collected will be kept confidential. So support us today as we take steps to improving the health of all. The STEP Survey 2024. Visit the Ministry of Health's website and social media pages for more information. This message brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
All right, the results of our morning poll. Do you think anyone will be brought to justice in the Harp Place and Powder Magazine multiple murders? That was our poll. Yesterday, results are in. 81%, 81 said no. All right.
I told you I'll have no question yet in my mind.
Well, I mean, I have suggestions. I have two suggestions. Do you think the DPP and judiciary spat is a personality issue? That's one. Or two, do you think the DPP is justified in wanting the hard copies in progressing the Dana Sita Hall matter?
But wouldn't that depend on people know what the law says?
Well, we assume that our listeners are informed. They would have
Which one do you want me to type?
What was the first question? Sorry.
No, because the DPP story and the judiciary story is the top story on all the dailies, and the question could be connected to that. Do you think the DPP and judiciary spat, I calling it a spat, is a personality issue?
Yeah, that's the question.
Or do you think the DPP is justified in wanting the hard copies in progressing the Dana Sita Hall matter?
No, the first question, definitely. That's what our whole discussion was centered around that. Personalities.
Okay.
So let's go with that.
So do you think the DPP and judiciary issue is a personality spat?
All right. So you're writing, Richard?
I could write, yes. Yes or no.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Okay.
Right, and the news bulletin is we're about to do our poll. And so
don't ask me how that played.
You see how he jump when he hears?
Yeah, my hands are nowhere near it.
There's a jump in that studio long time, and Wendell.
Yes, long time.
No, Shane is on the computer, so he probably hit it off by mistake.
How many times we threatened to bring Cookie a broom and
I'd sweep it out. But the jumpy beat us.
Yeah, clearly. It's still there.
So our poll this morning, do you think the DPP and judiciary issue is a personality spat? That's our poll this morning. What says you?
Or yes or no?
Yeah. If you think it's procedural, your vote would be no. Yeah. But if you think it's a personality issue, your vote will be yes.
All right.
So
Facebook, YouTube, call us 222-8255. North Americans, toll free 866-525-1099. On WhatsApp at 318-1021. Good morning, Mo Gaines. I want to say happy birthday to Bishop David Ableen. That's how I pronounce it. So happy birthday to you, Bishop. All right, it's got some votes coming in. So we got Alistair Hart saying yes. Boy Bedesi says yes. Gregory Bauer says yes to the poll. Ambrose Blah says yes. Let's see. Julia Espity says yes. Good morning, Roger. Helen Prescott, yes. Rena Boodoo Jennings, yes. Michael Robinson in Yokohama, Japan says yes. John Cato says no. Right, let's see. On WhatsApp, we have Cascade St. Anne's saying no. We have Bobby. Morning, Bobby. Yes. We have Brent. Yep, Brent saying yes. Val saying yes. It's a personality spot. Let's see. Okay, that's it on WhatsApp. Okay. Jacques Clark says yes. Adrian Cotto says yes. Marcia Rock says no to the poll. Ian Lee says yes. Roger says yes. Yep. Do you think the DPP and the judiciary issue is a personality spot? Yes or no? Call us 222-8255.
So 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, absolutely toll-free to you at 866-525-1099. People on the web and all of our streaming platforms, you can also vote sending the vote via the messaging portals located wherever you're streaming from. If you're watching us on television on the various cable stations, whether it be Flow, Digicel, or Amplia, you can send your vote via WhatsApp at 868-318-1021. Our poll this morning: do you think the DPP and judiciary issue is a personality spat? If you do, you vote yes. If you think it's really more substantive and it is a procedural issue, then you can vote no.
Guys,
Carol Guevara says yes. Morning, Carol.
You will excuse me for a bit in the second hour, right? It's going to get very noisy where I am, so I won't be able to have my mic on at all. So I'll just come off for just a bit, right?
All right. Do you think the DPP and judiciary issue is a personality spat?
So many personality spats in this country.
Yeah.
Beauty culture. Yes. Finbar Collins, yes or no? That's all. Richard Duku, yes.
He's saying it's either his way or the highway. Which is
I
that?
can't say yes or no.
That's a yes. Richard Duku says yes.
But we don't know. He could be talking about the other person.
Do you think the DPP and judiciary issue is a personality spat? That's our poll this morning. 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. And of course, people on our streaming platforms, you can send your vote there. You can also send us your vote via WhatsApp via 868-318-1021.
This is unofficial. This is unofficial. I got a communique yesterday, but it's unofficial and not released. Talking about the Thursday, 30th May, Indian Arrival Day and Corpus Christi potential holidays. And Section 3(2) of the Act further establishes where a public holiday falls on a, what is that? Sunday, or where two public holidays fall on the same day, the next following day, that in part of the subsection is not a public holiday, suggesting that we only have one day.
I saw that, but it didn't come. It didn't come from an official.
It is not official.
Yeah, it didn't come from an official government communication.
Let's grab this call, gentlemen. Good morning.
Mover, no.
Mover, thank you.
Hector also says no.
Yeah, I recorded him already.
Yeah. Yeah, Lee, okay. Morgan.
People going in hard at the DPP here, boy.
All right. Let's see. Royalty Forever says no.
To the poll. No to the poll. Marlon Rampersad says what?
Hey, you remember Marlon Rampersad?
Yes.
He used to be our nemesis on the morning. Morning Marlon Rampersad. Long time no hear from.
Yeah. All right. Well, gentlemen, let's get into our 7 o'clock major news at this time on this 8th day of May. Hump Day Wednesday. That's what it is. And of course, the 7 a.m. newscast is brought to you by Genesco Appliances. Save 8% on both their 7 cubic foot freezer fridge and 30-inch stainless steel rotisserie stove.
Welcome to Genesco Appliances, your trusted partner in Trinidad and Tobago for 25 years. Experience innovation with our inverted technologies refrigerators designed to slash your electricity bills. Discover the versatility of our dual-function chest freezers, switchable between refrigeration and freezer mode, available in 5 and 7 cubic feet. Welcome to Genesco Appliances, your trusted partner in Trinidad and Tobago for 25 years. Experience innovation with our inverted technologies refrigerators designed to slash your electricity bills. Discover the versatility of our dual-function chest freezers, switchable between refrigeration and freezer mode, available in 5 and 7 cubic feet. Don't miss our unbeatable offer on the 13-kilogram twin-tub washers and for the aspiring chefs, 30-inch 5-burner gas stove with a built-in rotisserie oven awaits. This special won't last. Find us on FB and IG or call 351-7777. That's 351-7777. Genesco Appliances are available nationwide.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Retired High Court Judge David Harris to chair investigative team to probe understatement of revenue for the financial year 2023. 2 months timeline given for investigative team to report to Minister of Finance. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley travels to London en route to Ghana, and the DPP lays blame at the feet of the judiciary in Dana Sitahal case. Details in a moment. This is News to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Afril Sintil-Bab. Good morning. Retired High Court Judge Justice David Harris will chair the investigative team to probe the understatement of revenue for the financial year 2023 and related matters. The investigative team will include former audit director at the Auditor General's Department, David Benjamin, and several specialists in information technology. Minister of Finance Colm Imbert, speaking at a virtual news briefing on Tuesday, said Cabinet approved the composition of the team, which he recommended. A 2-month timeline has been given to the team to report to the Minister of Finance.
At the core of this issue is a new electronic check clearing system that was introduced at the central bank in February of 2023 to replace a manual system. The time frame for the investigation is 2 months. At the core of
Meanwhile, the terms of reference of the investigation team to probe the understatement of revenue for the financial year 2023 and related matters have been revealed by the Ministry of Finance. It includes what circumstances led to the understatement of revenue in the public accounts for the financial year 2023 and what should be done to avoid a recurrence of same. The efficacy of the new electronic check clearing system introduced by the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago in February 2023 as well.
Thirdly, the efforts made by the Ministry of Finance to correct the understatement of revenue and to advise the Auditor General of the understatement and to provide her with an explanation, clarification, and further information on same. Additionally, what was the response of the Auditor General and what action was taken by the Auditor General in relation to the understatement of revenue?
Auditor General Jaiwanti Ramdas has filed a lawsuit surrounding the constitutional impasse involving her report of the public accounts of Trinidad and Tobago for the financial year 2023. The claim was filed in the High Court on May 7th. It asks the court for an urgent hearing. Ramdas is seeking several declarations, including her right to protection of the law and her right not to be deprived of such procedural provisions as necessary. She claims she is entitled to retain and instruct counsel of her choice to advise and or represent the office of the Auditor General in any matter where there is a dispute with the government. The lawsuit contends that she has reasonable grounds to believe that the Attorney General cannot render independent legal advice and representation. However, the lawsuit says the Attorney General is required to bear the reasonable costs for her lawyers. The claim also points to alleged phone calls from a senior government official on the missing $3.4 billion in the national accounts that were presented to her. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley traveled to London on Tuesday en route to Ghana, where he will be the special guest of honor at the celebration of His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, the Asante Henne's 25th year of ascension to the golden stool and reign as the King of Asante. Mrs. Sharon Rowley will accompany the Prime Minister. In 2023, the Asante Henny and his delegation visited Trinidad and Tobago to commemorate this country's Emancipation Day celebrations. While in Ghana, Prime Minister Dr. Rowley will also meet with the President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo. Dr. Rowley will lead the delegation, which will include the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Senator Dr. Amory Brown. Minister of Finance Colm Imbert was act as Prime Minister until Dr. Rowley's return. Director of Public Prosecutions Roger Gaspard has responded to comments in a release from the judiciary, saying that if he had used the electronic version of the committal bundle sent to his office by the Port of Spain District Court to file an indictment in the case of the murder of senior counsel Dana Sitahal in 2014, it would have resulted in the case being quashed. In a press release on May 7th, Gaspard said the committal bundle of the preliminary inquiry included the origins of the complaint, the depositions or statements of the witnesses, the documentary exhibits, the evidence on behalf of the accused, the warrants of committal for trial, and the reconnaissances of the witnesses. He said Section 25(1) and 2 of the Indictable Offences Preliminary Inquiry Act states that the committal bundle was to be sent to him without delay at the end of a preliminary inquiry. It was also his duty to keep the committal bundle until an indictment is filed in the High Court and transmitted to the Registrar of the Supreme Court. Gaspard added that the consequences of not filing a valid indictment is that it would become liable to be quashed and no trial could occur. It should also be borne in mind, he said, that filing of an indictment by the DPP under Section 25(3) of the IOPEA is not the inevitable consequence of a committal. He also stated that the DPP was required to consider the evidence in the bundle before determining the offences for which an indictment could be filed. Gaspard sent the release after a statement by the judiciary on May 4th, which in turn was in response to the DPP's claims that his office had not been able to file an indictment as it had not received the committal bundle up to May 3rd. The judiciary on May 4th said it had sent the completed document electronically in January. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital till 7 o'clock. Straight into weather news now for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, generally sunny, hazy, and breezy conditions expected despite a low chance of isolated showers. Expect a fair and hazy night. Please note there is a significant concentration of Saharan dust in the atmosphere. Persons so sensitive to these changes in air quality are being advised to take the necessary precautions. Currently, it's 34 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 33 degrees Celsius at look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 34 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 33 degrees Celsius at Crown Point, Tobago. It is 29 degrees Celsius at both localities currently. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, retired High Court Judge David Harris to chair investigative team to probe understatement of revenue for the financial year 2023. 2 months timeline given for investigative team to report to Minister of Finance. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley travels to London en route to Ghana, and the DPP lays blame at the feet of the judiciary in Dana Sitahal case. I'm Avril St-Hilbab. That was News 2, 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon and an update coming your way at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Welcome to Genesco Appliances, your trusted partner in Trinidad and Tobago for 25 years. Experience innovation with our inverted technologies refrigerators designed to slash your electricity bills. Discover the versatility of our dual-function chest freezers, switchable between refrigeration and freezer mode. Available in 5 and 7 cubic feet. Don't miss our unbeatable offer on the 13-kilogram twin-tub washers, and for the aspiring chefs, 30-inch 5-burner gas stove with a built-in rotisserie oven awaits. This special won't last. Find us on FB and IG or call 351-7777. That's 351-7777. Genesco Appliances are available nationwide. Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Genesco Appliances, for powering our 7 o'clock major news. And you can save 8% on both their 7 cubic foot freezer fridge and 30-inch stainless steel rotisserie stove. Thank you so much, Genesco Appliances. All right, traffic-wise, yep, where you think you're going to get it, you will get it. Charlieville, East-West Corridor, San Fernando. Yep, you got some traffic there this morning. Warm one already, as AV said, is 29 and hazy in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, gentlemen. Let's see if we have any more votes. Okay, so we got Beefy Smith say out in Goodwood, Tobago, saying no. Cheryl Henry saying no. That's it. Right, that's it, Richie Rich. Let's get the results of our morning poll before we move into our first guest.
Yeah, so our poll this morning was, but do you think that the issue between the DBP and the judiciary is a personality spat? So we had that's our poll this morning. We had 30 people voting on the poll this morning. Of the 30 people voting on the poll this morning, 20 of you said yes, you do think that the issue between the judiciary and the DBP is a personality spat, and 10 of you said no, you do not think it is. So that's 30 people in all. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, through all programming, and we'll give you the final result tomorrow morning, which will be Thursday and the cusp of the weekend. You know, we celebrate weekend from Thursday midnight. So that's it for our poll this morning. 30 people voted in the allotted time. 20 said yes, and 10 said no.
All right. Let's say good morning, good night to our guest, the one, the only Dirk Barnes, weapons expert. Good morning to you, Dirk. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm fine, and good morning to all your listeners as well.
And viewers.
Good morning, Dirk.
Nice.
And welcome to the Power Breakfast Show.
Welcome back, you should say.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Yes.
Good morning, Dirk. Is that designation appropriate, weapons expert?
I prefer not to use that designation, to be quite honest.
That's why I ask.
A security consultant.
Okay.
I do have an extensive experience in weapons and firearms. I'm also known for being a firearm dealer, which is one of the things that I do as well. I'm an instructor, and I've been involved in the security sector for about 3 decades, 2 in the defense force and 1 in private security.
You see how fast we changed that?
Oh, that's much better.
You know what we're doing here? Anyway, good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning. A lot of discussion. I saw an article quoting you in the Newsday yesterday, and a lot of discussion in the public domain recently about a proposal by the government to amend the Firearms Act. A lot of it focused on dealing with the licensing regime and the Commissioner of Police present remit over renewal of licenses, and some interesting, because I got a document yesterday about some of the proposals in this new amendment to the Firearms Act. What are your initial thoughts on the focus on the licensing regime and the role of the Commissioner of Police in this process, to start off?
All right. Well, first, I want to make sure I'm not injecting any emotion into this. And I would also want to put this on the premise that any change in laws, especially as it relates to national security, should have one concern in mind: the safety and security of all of its citizens. That's the only reason we should be changing laws, either to make the current laws more efficient or to fill the gaps where the laws weren't sufficient. Now, as it relates to your question, I've been on this show already, and I'm sure you could find song bites in the past where I'm going to echo what I'm about to say. The Firearms Act in its current form should be revised. It is woefully inadequate. This is a time when it was created when only a very, very small sector of society, even smaller than now, would have applied for firearms. And it was mostly the business community, hunting and sport. Self-defense wasn't much of a requirement for an applicant. They didn't really study the self-defense side of it so much, unless you were heavy into business or something like that. now in the kind of crime wave that we have people a lot more concerned about their abilities to defend themselves. And as such, you now hear in the Commissioner of Police saying they have a backlog of about 25,000 applicants. So I am going to say yes, the laws should be revised. What I have heard, and I'm saying heard because that document you referred to a while ago, I'm yet to see. I don't see the draft of the firearm control bill. I really want to get a copy of it. But what I've heard so far, it sounds to me like this is being done by lawmakers who don't understand the larger subject of not just weapons, but also tactics and self-defense. Because if you put those things into perspective in light of what's happening right now in Trinidad and Tobago, you would realize that there needs to be a lot more public consultation. Experts in the security industry needs to join this process. The police need to join this process. They might even have to bring in some people who have international experience to join this process. And I know there's a public consultation coming up on the 20th or 21st, somewhere around there. But this document that is coming out now, I think it was the cart before the horse. It should not have been released the way it was because it's raising a lot of questions. I mean,
well, I don't know that it was released. Let me put it that way. I don't know that it was released. Maybe I just happened to be lucky to get a copy of what is purported to be the document. It also has, to your statement just now, two logos: one from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and another logo from the Global Firearms Program, which implies, if the document is a legitimate document, that there was international consultation at some level.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's a good start. But you still have to look at a lot of the other sectors within this particular industry. This industry is not just firearms. You know, you have people who do home defense training. They prepare people for home defense. You have people who are in the security industry, first responders. You know, so you have a lot of other locals who must enter this process because we're talking about firearm control. There were so many things mentioned in the article that I read on the I think it was in Newsday, that I responded to because I said, yeah, they come again after the legal firearm owners. And I sometimes keep asking why. Why is it that the legal firearm fraternity is such a liability, is such a threat to this government? What intelligence are they working off of? But before I digress into that, I want to add something in. One of the reasons I'm adamant that this must be changed, and I know I would have said this on the show a couple of years ago, when you normally apply for an FUL, there is part of it that a background investigation is done. And in Trinidad and Tobago, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is required to conduct that investigation, no one else. And it's based on that investigation that your suitability for owning a firearm is considered. What I find personally strange, wrong, unfair, is that there are other arms of national security that also also do intelligence gathering. One is the SSA, you have the Defense Force, you have the prisons, and you have customs and excise. All of these areas all of these places have different types of information, whether it's terrorism, customs infringements, association with offenders, all these different things. And the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service rely on none of these sources of information for an application of the FUL. So I've been advocating in every discussion that there must be some kind of collaboration between these agencies to share intelligence when it comes to these type of applications. And I see this firearms control bill or the amendments to the Act as an opportunity to bring these sources of information into the process of the FUL application.
Is it that you think that the firearms legislation should make it, should have I don't want to say easier, but a simpler process for private citizens who qualify to be able to attain a firearms license? Because there right now it's a certain amount of bureaucratic hoops you have to jump through, in addition to which you have, according to the current legislation, you have one person who basically authorizes it, under the head of one person who authorizes a firearm license. Do you think that has to change?
Yes, the process of one person having that level of autonomy, that has to change. What we are looking for, basically, what I'm suggesting, because I can only suggest on my behalf, so some sort of a board that will sit and adjudicate over these matters. But even before you come with that board, you have to set criteria, and the criteria has to be a bit more robust than it is right now. The criteria is so vague right now. It's just over the age of 25, physically and mentally fit. You must have permission from your wife, and you must have training from an instructor. It's really, really vague. You should set criteria that will be a certain criteria for people from the Ministry of National Security, Defense Force, Police, because they are our first part of our first defense. They are our law enforcement agencies, but they're not always on duty. So by virtue of the fact that they are employed under the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service or Defense Force, they should be allowed to have an FUL from the complete training. Now, the threshold for retaining that FUL should be extremely high. In other words, if it is, for example, one of the Defense Force members or police services involved in anything, or is found to be committing an offense or something like that, and those offenses could be stated, or even in some cases suspected of committing an offense, as in they're under investigation, there should be an immediate revocation of that FUL. So there should be a very high threshold for these agencies that they get their FULs relatively easier. But for the rest of us, I believe the threshold should also be high. It should not be easier. The process should be set clear. Everybody should know what the process is, so that way you'll have complete transparency, and you would not have people trying to pay in between to speed up the process. They could also move this to be an electronic application with follow-ups of your documents thereafter. I mean, that's where the world is going right now. But we are still running around, going to the government pantry, trying to get a Form 1 and a Form 16 when they have, and then submitting it. And if it's submitted to the error, you have to go back and get a new one, and when they have, and submit it to the police service. This is woefully inadequate for a country that is, in 2024. So those are some of the areas that we can see. We could move some of that bureaucracy you're talking about. But I did not see that being considered in the bill. I saw more controls than administration.
Well, yes, some of that is in the proposed bill. If the bill
nice.
I have in my possession is correct, about the benchmarks for persons who qualify and persons revocation qualifications and stuff like that. For the purposes of the audience, what's the difference between a high-powered weapon or a semi-automatic weapon? Because part of the proposal is for people not to be able to have access to either one of the two. And what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so when I hear people talk about high-powered weapon, two weapons could look the same. One could be more power than the other based on the projectile, based on the cartridge that is being used. Now, the weapon itself, if you understand weapon technology, you have pistols, you have rifles, shotguns. Those are the three type of weapons you would see in Trinidad and Tobago right now among the civilian population. The problem right now is with the rifles, because, there's an old saying, people fear what they don't understand. When people see civilians with rifles, and I'm not talking about criminals now, I'm talking about the average civilian with a rifle, they ask the question, why do you need that? Now, in the line of work that I do professionally, and you guys know what I do, I have to use those type of weapons because those weapons offer a more stable platform. And when I'm outside, and I say stable platform because when you use a pistol in a high-stress scenario, a self-defense scenario, you are more concerned with preservation of life over the placement of where you're putting your rounds. You're trying to get rounds in the opposite direction to stop a threat. That's much different than when you're on a range shooting at a static target, with headset and glasses and a water next to you and all these different things. A pistol can, in even the most competent of use in a high-stress scenario, you are going to see your rounds, going in different directions. A rifle in your shoulder with more stability, especially if it has some sort of optic attached to it, you have a better placement of rounds, even in a high-stress scenario. So that is one of the advantages of the rifle and shotgun platform, which is a shoulder-mounted platform than a hand-mounted platform and a handgun. There's also the issue of the capacity of the rounds. You have less magazine changes because you have more rounds in the rifle. Now, people are more concerned with the destruction ability of those particular rounds. Now, 5.56 or 7.62, the round itself, you hear that being bounced around. The media likes to use it. The government likes to use it. They like to call it a high-powered round. It isn't high-powered. There's no threshold for when it turns from low power to high power. It is a cartridge. Yes, it is a cartridge that moves faster than a pistol cartridge. Yes, it is a cartridge that will do more damage when it hits flesh, but it is still a cartridge.
What do you think the benchmark should be for the average citizen? What type of weapon do you think the average citizen should have access to through law?
Well, Paul, I'm an average citizen, and because I don't know the difference between a special citizen and an average citizen. So,
but you have a particular training behind you.
All right, and some civilians as well have just as much training as I do. I mean, people without military experience. I know a lot of them, especially in sport and fraternity, they are highly trained and could handle their weapons very well. And they have a requirement for having rifles as well for sport training, and some of them are representing us internationally. So there has to be some kind of a conduit or a mechanism for certain parts of society achieving these weapons. Again, the threshold, the criteria has to be extremely high. Not everybody is going to meet that threshold. The threshold should not be because I can pay for it. That should not be the threshold. The threshold should not be the amount of money that you pay. So that is where I see the laws going, because there is a requirement for that. Now, I said that I'm an average citizen. I was trained in the military. I spent 20 years in private security. I'm one of the operators on my response team.
You are not average.
And I would want
to say that qualifications in terms of gun use and gun proficiency, you are not average.
And I'm a civilian, and I will say that having the weapon platforms that I do own, that's one of the reasons I became a firearm dealer, was to be able to import and not have the huge profits that other dealers would have applied for me to pay. Kind of weapons that we carry, it makes sure that, one, my security officers, who are also from the defense force, just like myself, that we would not have collateral damage increase our liability, but at the same time, we can stop a threat if a threat presents itself. Now, this is nothing different to what the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service would use, or their doctrine. Actually, there's one exception. In their case, they can use automatic firearms. In our case, we could only use semi-automatic firearms. So all of our firearms, whether it's rifle, shotgun, or pistol, it's all semi-automatic. And that in itself is a limitation, but it's a limitation that we accept in the realm of the law. Now, what if I have to talk about criminals? Criminals have been using automatic and semi.
I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that in a while, and this is on the legal. What are your thoughts on the proposed, from what we hear, restrictions on places where persons can have guns? Parliament, school, churches, I think supermarkets, etc.
Bars is one of the big ones.
So the safe zones itself is a very unusual concept, especially for things like bars and bars, schools, and public areas like that. Those are areas that we have to go. We have to use it. Now, if you tell me that I can't go into that area with my firearm, then I won't, as a law-abiding citizen, go into that area with my firearm. But now I must consider is that the criminal is also going to obey these laws. And if I have to break that down, a criminal is a person who commits crime, who commits offenses, gun offenses against the act as it currently exists. So that only suggests that when you put this new act or this new law into place, they're going to ignore that as well. So here I am, the law-abiding citizen, unable to defend myself from a criminal who will come into those areas and ply their trade. So all that does, and it comes back to what I originally said at the beginning of this, is that these laws are supposed to be created with the public interest in mind for safety and security. I beg any minister standing behind this bill, please explain to me how that scenario makes me safer, because I honestly don't know. I can't see the logic.
So you don't think that there should be any safe zones at all then?
If they are applying safe zones, they can apply it to the president's house, they can apply it to the parliament, they can apply it to the courts, because they could do it in those areas, because those are areas that you would less likely see criminals applying any kind of attack. And at the same time, those areas have a lot of security that is serving the public trust, that is also there to protect the public, not just the occupants of those particular buildings. So I can see those areas being safe zones where, as you arrive with your firearm, you lodge it at the front door with proper security, you enter the building, do what you need to do, and you leave. I don't see the same kind of concept being applied to a bank. That is not their responsibility. The bank is not going to take any responsibility for lodging your firearm. And saying that a bank, I mean a bank of all places, would be a safe zone from firearms, is saying to the criminal, great, we are giving you some targets that will not be able to defend themselves. That's not safety and security.
Semi-automatic, you mentioned, versus automatic, and the eligibility of members of the public to have access to that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, automatic weapons are prohibited from all members of the public unless you fall under one of the exempt provisions of the Act, and that will be specifically for the police, defense force, director of forensics, their science officers, customs, and prisons. Nobody else is able to use an automatic firearm in this country. So supplemental police officers and civilians, we can't. We can't own it. It'll be a serious offense to have that in your possession. Criminals have it, and again, why do criminals have it? Because they are criminals by definition. They will do what they want. They will break laws. Now, semi-automatic is different, and I want your listeners to understand as well. Semi-automatic can be in pistol, rifle, and shotgun. All right, and automatic can be in pistol, rifle, and shotgun. So if you see a rifle, that does not mean it's automatic. Semi-automatic means that when you pull the trigger, you can only shoot one round per trigger pull. Automatic means when you pull the trigger and hold, several rounds will go down the range at that point in time. So civilians, we carry semi-automatic in those variants, and the police and everybody else, they carry automatic in those variants.
There's something that caused me a great deal of disquiet. The last time they amended the Firearms Act was the attempt to include the minister in part of the process, which they hastily withdrew after objections were raised by many people, including myself. And from what I see in this, there's some incisions in the minister in the process, and the minister being a political creature. I will always have a question mark over any minister's involvement in any part of this. What are your thoughts on that? Because a minister is a political creature, and you have a wide swath of society seeking eligibility for weapons under the regime and also renewals.
Right. So anywhere that it says minister in that proposed bill should be deleted. A minister, ministers, prime minister, National Security Council, these people should not be part of the process as it comes to the administration of firearms, because again, they are the executive, they control things. They should not be given any instructions to these independent organizations. So where the minister tries to insert themselves, that should be removed. That is just simple common sense. You have a situation, or the situation that existed back then, to what you refer, Paul, was when they were trying to get the minister involved in I believe it was the
renewal process.
Renewal process. Imagine if that had passed, what would have occurred in March of this year, when there was a lot of discontent with this.
It was a ridiculous proposition, and we could just leave it at that. It was really a ridiculous proposition.
So, do you think that firearm users' licenses should have a renewal period? And if so, what kind of period do you think it should have in terms of renewing your license?
Well, the renewal period, I think right now is 3 years. I don't see any reason why that should change. I mean, if it was up to me, I would probably reduce it to 24 months. And that is just to make sure that people do remain current and trained. The weapon renewals remains annually, but all of the ambiguity behind these things should be explained in whatever amendments take place. I do believe more emphasis should be placed on people actually going out on the ranges and training. There should be some kind of way to evaluate what training they have done and with whom, because in the most recent renewal process, I mean, as an instructor, I was responsible for taking people on the range and doing assessments with them. And what is really interesting is that people from the police and the defense force, those who I would have been around, seem to exhibit less competence with a pistol than most of the people who I did with from the civilian side. And I guess it's because they rely so much on their weapon platform, their primary weapon platform, which would be their rifles, that their pistol competence is not where I would have expected it. So these types of renewal situations affords the ability for an assessment to be done, and that assessment be kept as a record. And that's what would have happened in March of this year.
Now, one of the other issues that's come up through some questions I asked and the focus on the legal gun regime, and you're on record as saying at the start of this interview that you think there should be some amendment to the act to make the system more transparent, more accountable, more efficient. Would that be a correct paraphrasing of what you said?
Yes.
Right. And the information given by the Minister of National Security upon questions to me suggests that the legal gun regime is not the issue with criminality in Trinidad and Tobago by and large. As a matter of fact, questions I asked related to lost, stolen, or missing weapons. The Defense Force lost 8 weapons. One reason given they were on training and maybe the weapons were lost. So I didn't get the impression that the legal gun regime was the fuel for criminality in Trinidad and Tobago. It remains the illegal gun regime in this country that is fueling the criminality. Would you agree with that?
I would agree and say yes, that is the obvious fact here. The challenge is that some of the utterances coming from politicians suggests that there is a lot of emphasis or a lot of attention being placed on the legal gun owners. So whereas what you are saying here now, as reported to you, and I'd want to believe in one of the committees, was something that to me makes sense. That is not what we are hearing, and in this particular bill, some of the things that we saw, I see it here as this bill being an opportunity to disarm people who are currently armed, because I'm seeing things inside there like military-style weapons and civilians being in possession of military-style weapon. Now, there is no definition for military-style weapon as accepted globally, so they're going to create a definition. We have heard them in the symposium that was hosted in the Hyatt stating that they want to remove these type of weapons, what do you call them? Assault weapons, another definition that I can't find anywhere. Assault weapons from people who have them, who's civilians who have them. So all of these utterances sounds to me like they're focusing on legal gun owners and taking this opportunity to disarm them. Now, there's going to be some other conversations that have to take place with regards to cost and all these different things. But the question is why? What is the threat with them? Now, the obvious answer, Paul, or the obvious statement, as you just rightfully said, is the illegal guns. That's what we should be concerned with. But what amendments in the bill have you seen that targets those legal guns and deals with that? One of the issues that we currently have is ammunition from the police and the Defense Force ending up in the hands of civilians. What controls have been put inside there to either, one, detect it, or two, provide a larger deterrence in these amendments? A Defense Force member who is found, selling wrongs, so do you think he should be facing 10 to 15 years or 20 years?
But have we had evidence of that?
The wrongs are out there. That's the thing. So
the wrongs are out there, but we still yet to find out how they end up on crime scenes, and there's a tendency for denial of that in many instances when they are found to have TT Defense Force or TTPS insignia on the ammunition found at crime scenes.
Well, there's an old saying, when it looks like a duck and smells like a duck, more than likely it is. So we know that it's ended up in the hands of the criminals. We know it was in the custody of the armed forces and police service. Somebody would have had to take it out of an armory and give it to them. It wasn't just lying on a range and miraculously these bands were able to find the exact location of a cache of wrongs. So it's obvious what is happening within the Defense Force, I can say in Defense Force, is that somewhere along the line, the policies and procedures that existed when I was there are somehow now not being observed, because that is something that was unheard of back then. Every wrong had to be accounted for. So somewhere along the line, something...
When you're talking about wrongs, remember they had a big seizure for a weapon that was missing? Am I wrong?
Yeah, and those things do happen, and the weapons are found. In my Army career, I've only had one instance of a Galil being missing. One instance, and that Galil was found in a dump a few days later when, strange enough, this gentleman who is currently in this SSA Tobacco, he got involved, and the intelligence that he would have done while he was the int officer led to the discovery of that particular firearm. So there are things that would have happened in the Defense Force, but those things don't happen anymore. I don't know what is happening in the Defense Force, and to be honest, I'm not really going to ask a question. But if 8 weapons went missing between the TTPS and the Defense Force, and that is something that we need to be concerned about. Weapons don't just lose in these spaces.
8 in Defense Force alone. What do you think? What do you think? And let's focus on the illegal guns now, because that, to me, as I said, the evidence presented doesn't suggest that the issue is the legal gun regime. Although you're recording saying some amendments need to happen regarding the interdiction of illegal guns coming in the country, because that's where the real criminality seems to be, unfortunately, thriving.
Well, the situation is right now is that Trinidad and Tobago needs to grow up, put their tail between your legs, and do the correct thing. We are trying to be wrong and strong. And let me tell you what I mean by that. You know, right now there's an interagency task force between the United States, CARICOM, and all these other people working out of CARICOM to look at gun crimes. And we have a commissioner of police here who's not playing ball with them, and nobody is causing them to get more involved. You know, there's no real interaction taking place between this entity that is trying to assist the region and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. And I suspect that's the reason why we're getting these visits.
Why do you see that? What evidence do you have to support that statement?
I prefer not to bring that up yet. It's going to come out, so I'll just leave that for now. But
you make a statement on international media that
and I can make that
without substantiating it.
I can't make that statement. Not everything here needs to be substantiated. The media has proven that. So if somebody asks me where I get that or an investigation comes, I will make that assertion, and I will point fingers when that time comes. This is not the time to do that, Paul. But it is a fact. It is that this agency is trying to do more, and there could be more cooperation coming out of Trinidad and Tobago. I will go even further. You recall that a couple of years ago, there was a large shipment of rounds that came in, and it came in on our flights, and it was being cleared and all these different things. It was kept in a bond, and while it was in that bond, nobody came for it, and there was a big hurrah that we found these guns. Customs broker, from what I remember, was involved in the investigation, was helping the investigation. So while in the United States, 3 people were arrested, indicted, and convicted. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, we had 1 person who we had our eyes on. Well, I don't know if you guys had drawn the lines or you know this, but that gentleman was killed in Mausuka, in Price Mart, while that investigation was going on locally. To date, nobody has been arrested. Nobody has been tried. Nobody has been convicted, which suggests to me that there is some complicity in law enforcement, whether it's customs, police, or whoever is involved in this investigation, that got involved with a criminal enterprise to call this guy to meet his demise. We need to wake up to these facts, and this is not the first time I've said that on here. What we are having in Trinidad and Tobago is so many government officials, top government officials, being involved in criminal enterprise, hiding behind, the guise of smoke and mirrors that, we're not involved in this thing. We are all against crime. And the rest of us who can't get the evidence, but we've seen it, we know it's happening.
You just said government officials, huh?
I'm not saying government officials are politicians, huh? But if you pull a salary from the government, you are a government official.
Okay.
But somebody leaked information, and that somebody would have been in a security loop within the government, Paul. And this guy died. You know what happened? We lost all leads. The guns continue to flow.
Dirk, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Don't be a stranger. We have another interview lined up, which we have to get into at 7:45. But I'm hoping to have you back to talk more, if not next week, week after, about personal security in Trinidad and Tobago and what we should be doing to protect ourselves.
No problem. Glad to be on board, guys. You have a great day.
Thank you so much, Dirk Barnes. Thank you for that. All right.
I'm just giving you all a snippet of the noise behind me, right? It's really noisy. I can't even hear sometimes. So please forgive me.
All right. Well, I just welcome. Oh my goodness. There you are. I'm just seeing you poke your head. We do have, if you're watching us, we do have Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Emerson of the Delaware Army National Guard Aviation Task Force Commander. That's a mouthful. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Not bad at all. I do
We're
like
fine.
the backdrop.
We're very impressed by the backdrop.
Oh, thank you.
Wow, is all we can say is wow.
Okay, Mike.
I mean, streaming all over the world. So let me give you some context and background. The Delaware
Black
National
Hawk behind
Guard,
you, right?
the Delaware National Guard and the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force are conducting joint aviation training between April 27th and May 15th. Delaware National Guard are engaging in this activity. The training includes mutual sharing of expertise and will consist of planning and executing air operations and enhancing maintenance practices. The training involved the use of 3 UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters. You know, we get excited with that. And involved the use of the Black Hawk helicopters along with approximately 20 air crew and support personnel, and will take place throughout Trinidad and Tobago, both in urban and rural areas. Ambassador Excellency Candice Bond said the training will partner nations demonstrate a strong partnership between the U.S. and TNT based on mutual respect and shared interest in the region. Now, is that a Black Hawk behind you there, Lieutenant Colonel Commander Emerson?
It is. It's a UH-60 Black Hawk from Delaware.
Wow. Are those the ones that were used in the movie? Black Hawk
They have
Down?
been depicted in movies in the past, yes.
Black Hawk Down.
Wow. We're really impressed. So tell us about how the training has been going so far and what the sharing of expertise has been like so far.
Well, I can tell you, first of all, I want to thank Trinidad for letting us come down here and train. This has been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us, and an opportunity for us to enhance our partnership that's been enduring over the last 20 years. The training that we've specifically been doing has been with the Trinidad Air Guard, additional members of the Defense Force, as well as the police force. And we've been able to fly around this beautiful country, may I add, and see all the different sites that Trinidad has to offer. We've been able to engage directly with our aviation counterparts. We have maintainers, we have flight paramedics, pilots, all engaging with their partners within the Air Guard, exchanging ideas and best practices. And it's been an amazing visit so far, and I know it will continue to be.
What? Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, as part of the cooperation, in terms of the various state agencies that you're intersecting with, what is going to be the outcome of that? Is it that how does that enhance the security of Trinidad and Tobago itself? Because you must know that we have a serious crime issue, and so I suppose citizens watching on will be hopeful that this intersection is going to yield some results in terms of that training.
Yes, we exchange information through all the organizations within the Ministry of National Security, and we are here to showcase what our capabilities are. But more importantly, we're learning a lot from Trinidad. This is a bilateral exchange, so we are able to take some of the best practices from this country back to help us engage as well and do our training better, so that we can be a continued force within the region, working with the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force.
So is it that you're having exercises with other Caribbean islands too, or is it just Trinidad and Tobago at this point?
We are just with Trinidad and Tobago at this point. We fall within the state partnership program with the Delaware National Guard and Trinidad and Tobago government. And that partnership has been enduring for the last 20 years. We're actually celebrating the 20th anniversary here while we're here training. And that partnership has grown over these last 20 years, where we've engaged in different areas such as aviation operations, medical operations, cybersecurity, all those different engagements that we do on an annual basis. And it's culminated now where we're at today with actually being able to bring our helicopters into Trinidad and Tobago and train with the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard and Defense Forces and the police forces. It's been an amazing opportunity so far.
What can you tell us that our personnel will gain most from this exercise, this exchange?
Could you repeat the question, please?
What can our professionals in the field will gain most from this exchange with you? How will we benefit in terms of our professionals and their exposure to your training?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for both the U.S. Delaware National Guard and for the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force is professionalism and cultural awareness. This has been a great opportunity to share those ideas, to learn the differences between the cultures and how we can exchange that information and grow to be better leaders. This program is based on not only what we're doing today, but enhancing future relationships so that the folks that are joining today or the folks that we are dealing with today may one day be leading these forces, both on our end and in Trinidad. And we can continue those relationships and we can stay in contact with each other and continue to exchange information and continue the visits that we've been able to do over these years.
What about tactical issues, though? Are we to benefit from any of the tactical issues that you would disseminate?
From a tactical standpoint, I mean, we are focusing more on aviation maintenance, aviation operations, sharing that information with the Air Guard. And they have been sharing quite a bit of information with us that in terms of better practices. So that's really what we're gaining from this. And it's just been a great exchange so far.
Now, we don't have Black Hawk helicopters. We wish we did, but we don't. Just for our interest, and I'm sure the audience looking on will want to know, what are the capabilities of these amazing machines behind you like that?
Well, these machines behind us are very versatile machines. They have the capability to conduct troop transport. We can do VIP missions. We can do different tactical missions, all of which support the ground force commander to make sure that they can meet their mission. They are very powerful, very agile aircraft that afford us to do many different types of missions when called upon.
Explain that VIP missions for us, because you explain the issue of
You're
VIP.
dragging into any confusion.
No, I'm just asking.
So we are able to fly our leadership around in these aircraft. There's the capability for them to be able to communicate with ground forces if need be, also internally within the aircraft. So that's one capability this aircraft has that we're able to provide.
Okay.
Now, I had the opportunity to do a day's training with one of our helicopters many years ago, and we flew very often across the northern range. Now, I'm sure there have been reports that is it one or two craft that you have in the country?
We have 3 here now.
3 Black Hawk helicopters. Has the mission also included doing any surveillance, not meaning to draw you into any controversy?
No, we're strictly here doing training. We are not operational at all. We are mainly here just to exchange ideas, best practices, and work with our partners within the Defense Force. We are not here on any operational basis.
So let me ask a part 2 of that question. If whilst doing this training and so on, and you're up there and you observe something that is of a concern, how is that to be treated with?
Well, our purpose here really is just to make sure that we are constantly engaging and training with our partners. We want to continue to endure through this partnership program. So that's really what we're focused on here.
Yeah. In terms of you, I know you're going to urban and rural areas and interfacing with communities to some degree. How has your reception been so far?
Well, I can tell you it's been amazing. Yesterday, we had the privilege of flying to Cedros. And when we landed there, the community came out with open arms. They welcomed us. And we had the opportunity to showcase our aircraft that I would say over 800 people came out to visit us. And every single person we had the opportunity to engage with treated us with the utmost respect and welcomed us into their town. And we were so honored to be there. It was an amazing experience for our soldiers, and one that we will take with us and never forget. I have to say that a day like yesterday was a great reminder for our soldiers as to why we wear the uniform and we serve.
Are you allowing civilians on board the aircraft?
We are strictly working with the Defense Force and anybody that falls within the National Ministry of National Security at this point.
Okay.
What has it been like for you being able to do like training and flying around Trinidad and Tobago? What impresses you most looking from that vantage point?
Well, there's many things. So first of all, this is a beautiful country. To be able to fly over here, words can't express the feeling we have being able to fly down here in Trinidad. Just being in the Caribbean and getting to see all the beautiful sights is an amazing thing to experience. In addition to that, I have been here a few times before, but obviously this is the first time I've been here where I've been able to fly helicopters in the country. And this experience is something that we will all take back, never forget. It's been great.
What's the range of that craft? Did it fly from the US, or did you come off another vessel?
We transported it down here with a C-17 from Alaska, which was a great opportunity for us within the National Guard to work together. And we also were transported some of our folks and equipment down here in C-130s from the Delaware National Guard.
What's the C-17 and what's the C-130? What's the C-17?
A C-17 is a larger Air Force aircraft that's able to carry cargo, and the C-130s are a smaller aircraft able to carry cargo and passengers as well.
Have you been able to sample doubles and roti and pilau, the foods?
I will tell you this, I have not had the opportunity to have a double down here on this trip, but I have had them in the past, and they are delicious. I can tell you that the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force has treated us amazingly, and they are feeding us very well. I'm going to have to make some of my guys go out. We're going to go for a long run here at some point to burn off some of that food. It's been delicious.
One thing our Defense Force officers could do is cook, a lot of them.
It's been amazing food. We're so thankful and so grateful.
Lieutenant Emerson, who can we talk to, this crew here, to get a tour of that craft?
Well, you've got me here right now. So it's going to be difficult because it's just me. But as you can see from behind us, it is a very capable aircraft. It's a workhorse, and we're proud to fly it.
Is it possible at all for your cameraman to just move a little closer and you give us a little tour of the outside, if not the inside?
We could probably get the outside. I'm not sure if the cameraman will be able to move around or not.
We'd appreciate getting a little closer shot if that's possible.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So while he puts his camera on his shoulder, and Lieutenant Tom Emerson.
Audience, you see what we're doing for you, yeah? I mean, you've probably never been this close to a Black Hawk helicopter yet, in real time. I mean, look at that. Wow.
So you can see here, it's a beautiful machine.
Yeah.
How many people will it hold? Will it carry?
We can configure the aircraft in several different configurations. So the number of folks that we can carry varies depending on the mission required.
And can you arm that helicopter with different weapons?
The aircraft is combat capable, and when it's deployed overseas, it is outfitted to serve in combat. Yes.
Wonderful.
Lieutenant Colonel Tom Emerson, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Yes. We want to invite you to make sure and get a doubles live on the street corner. Don't let them bring it to you. You have to go to the street corner and eat it on the spot. That's where you enjoy it the most.
It's called hot on the spot.
I will do my best to do that. I'd also like to extend a thank you to the University of Trinidad and Tobago Aviation Group, as well as National Helicopter Services Limited. They've hosted us here, and they've been great hosts, and we're very thankful that we've had the opportunity to operate and share ideas with them as well.
Yeah, you're in Camden now, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we'd like to also extend our thanks and appreciation to Excellency Ambassador Candice Bond and the U.S. Embassy facilitating this exchange. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your stay here, and thank you for your service.
Thank you for having me.
All the best, and to Charlene Thomas. Thank you so much, Charlene.
Let's go out with some more views of the craft, if you will, please. If they could just walk around the craft so we could get more views of it.
Sure.
As we pan out.
I so want to tease Paula about the size of the craft, but I'll hush my mouth for now.
Yeah.
How much flying that could do, up and down? And that's where it's going, you know.
That's
it's really an amazing aircraft.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you for having me.
Colonel Thomas Emerson of the Delaware Army National Guard Aviation Task Force Commander. That's a mouthful. Thank you so much for being on the Power Breakfast Show. Thank you once again to the U.S. Embassy for allowing us to talk to you. All the best.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. This is we're going to wrap it up.
You know, a great interview.
That Black Hawk helicopter is very capable, and of course, it can really fly high, just like the comedy that's on next weekend at Saturday and Sunday at Sapa. You fly high with laughter.
Take win. You actually say great at very well.
Guys, I have
is
to tell
a
you
walk.
before we come off here, the Chief Justice was on our platform this morning listening to the conversation. Okay.
Okay, good.
Who is on? Sorry.
The Chief Justice was on this morning listening to us. Our
Wonderful.
discussion.
Good morning to you.
Okay, so Love is a Walk is on next week, Saturday and Sunday.
Maybe you
Not-
could
what
send
am I
him 2
saying?
tickets.
Not
Maybe you
Saturday
could send
and
2
Sunday.
tickets for him, Richard.
Who's that?
The Chief Justice.
Of course, if he wants to come, I can arrange. But it's next week, Friday and Saturday, not Saturday and Sunday. Friday and Saturday at Sapa. And of course, tickets are available at our ticket outlets, which are K Squared Fashions in C3 Center, Gulf City, and Brentwood Mall. So all K Squared outlets in Central, Shagona, C3 Center, and Gulf City. And of course, Friends of Marabella by the roundabout. That's where you can get tickets. Tickets are out for Love is a Walk for next week, Friday and Saturday. Friday at 8:30 and Saturday at 8:30. You should get your tickets early.
Have a great day. Be safe, everyone.
All right, folks, have an absolutely wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God. The funeral of Alejandro Suku will take place tomorrow at the St. Charles Church in Tunapuna, 10 a.m., and then to the Tunapuna Cemetery. That's the young man who died in that tragic accident where his sister was driving. His sister is now out of the hospital, thank God, and she will be a part of the funeral tomorrow. All right?
Condolences once again to the family. All right, gentlemen, till tomorrow. Have a good day. Let's get it.